As the trial progressed, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of urgency. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as the prosecution prepared to call her as a key witness. Each day felt like an eternity, and the weight of Jake's letters haunted her every moment. "I will always love you," echoed in her mind, twisting her emotions into knots. On the morning of her testimony, Sarah sat in the waiting area, her heart pounding. She could hear the murmurs of the crowd, feel the tension pulsing through the room. The thought of facing Jake's gaze, even from a distance, sent a shiver down her spine. She closed her eyes, drawing on the strength she had built through therapy and the support of her friends. When she was finally called to stand, Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward, her palms clammy against the wooden surface. The prosecutor guided her through her story, asking about her relationship with Jake and the events that led to Mark's tragic death. Each question felt like a hammer striking an anvil, forcing her to confront the painful memories she had tried to suppress. "Can you describe the night of the incident?" the prosecutor asked, his voice steady but filled with gravity. Tears pricked at Sarah's eyes as she recounted the fateful evening, the fear that consumed her, and the horror of losing Mark. She spoke of the moments leading up to the tragedy, her voice trembling as memories flooded back. "I never thought Jake could hurt anyone. I wanted to help him, but he wouldn't let me in." As she spoke, she caught a glimpse of Jake in the courtroom. His expression was one of twisted sorrow, and for a moment, she felt a pang of sympathy, but was quickly replaced by anger. Anger for the life he had stolen from her, for the way his obsession had spiraled into chaos. After her testimony, the defense called Alex to stand. Sarah watched with bated breath as he recounted Jake's struggles with mental health, painting a picture of a man tormented by his own demons. He loved Sarah, but he was consumed by fear and jealousy, Alex insisted. He thought he was protecting her. The courtroom was silent, the air thick with tension. Sarah felt her heart race as Alex's words hung in the balance. Could Jake's mental state truly mitigate his actions? She clenched her fists, trying to suppress her emotions. When it was time for Sarah to cross-examine Alex, she stood up, her resolve strengthened. "You say Jake was struggling," she began, her voice steady. "But does that excuse the choices he made? Mark is dead because of him. How can you defend that?" Alex's expression softened, but he didn't back down. "I'm not defending his actions, Sarah. I'm trying to explain them. Jake wasn't in control. He believed he was losing you, and it drove him to madness." His words struck a nerve, and Sarah felt a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. She had spent so long trying to understand Jake's darkness, but the reality of what had happened was undeniable. "You don't get to decide how I feel about my life," she shot back, her voice rising. "Mark is gone forever, and nothing can bring him back." The courtroom fell silent, the gravity of her words settling in. In that moment, Sarah realized she had a choice to make, not just for herself, but for Mark's memory. As the trial neared its conclusion, Sarah found herself at a crossroads. She could either focus solely on seeking justice for Mark, or she could acknowledge the complexities of Jake's struggles. The decision weighed heavily on her heart. That night, Sarah sat in her apartment, the letters from Jake scattered across the table like ghosts of her past. As she read through them again, she felt an unexpected surge of compassion. What if Jake truly didn't understand the depths of his actions? What if he was a victim of his own mind? The next day, as the judge prepared to deliver the final instructions to the jury, Sarah made a bold decision. As the courtroom settled, she stood up, her heart racing. "Your Honor," she said, her voice steady, "I would like to address the court one last time." The judge nodded, granting her permission. Sarah took a deep breath. "I understand that Jake has struggled with mental health issues, and I don't want to minimize that, but we cannot ignore the consequences of his actions. Mark is gone because of a choice Jake made. I have to seek justice not only for myself, but for Mark's family, who will never see him again." Her words hung in the air, a poignant reminder of the stakes involved. The jury listened intently, and Sarah felt a sense of clarity wash over her. She had found her voice, and with it, the strength to confront her past. As the trial came to a close, the jury deliberated, and Sarah anxiously awaited their decision. She held her breath, knowing that whatever the outcome, she had taken a stand. After what felt like an eternity, the jury returned to deliver their verdict. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as they announced, "We find the defendant guilty of manslaughter." Relief washed over Sarah, but it was bittersweet. The battle was far from over, but she had faced her fears and found her strength. As she left the courtroom, she felt the weight of her journey lift slightly, knowing she had honored Mark's memory and reclaimed her voice. But as she stepped outside, a familiar chill crept over her. Jake's obsession hadn't vanished. It lingered like a shadow. The trial may have ended, but the real fight for her peace was just beginning. Stay tuned for part 4, where Sarah will confront the aftermath of the trial and the true depths of Jake's obsession. The days following the verdict were a whirlwind for Sarah. She felt a mix of relief and anxiety, knowing that while justice had been served, the shadow of Jake's obsession still loomed over her. Each time she closed her eyes, she was haunted by his words. "I will always love you." They echoed in her mind, a chilling reminder of what she had endured. As she navigated this new reality, Sarah leaned heavily on her support system. Friends and family rallied around her, providing comfort and encouragement. Mia, her new friend from the art class, became a constant presence, helping Sarah regain her sense of normalcy. Together, they attended workshops and art shows, allowing Sarah to immerse herself in creativity as a form of therapy. But the peace was fragile. One evening, as Sarah returned home, she noticed something strange. The door to her apartment was slightly ajar, a feeling of dread pooling in her stomach. Heart racing, she pushed the door open, scanning the dimly lit room for any sign of intrusion. Everything appeared untouched, yet an unsettling chill lingered in the air. That night, she bolted awake, the echoes of her nightmare still vivid in her mind. Jake's face loomed in the darkness, a twisted smile playing on his lips. Startled, she reached for her phone, her heart racing as she dialed Mia's number. "I think someone might be watching me," she whispered, panic rising in her chest. "Sarah, breathe. I'll be right there," Mia reassured her, her voice calm yet urgent. Within minutes, Mia arrived, her presence grounding Sarah. "Let's check your locks and secure the place," she suggested, her demeanor practical. Together, they ensured the windows were locked and the door reinforced. As they sat together on the couch, Sarah confided in Mia about the letters and the fear that had begun to creep back into her life. "I thought I could move on, but it's like Jake's shadow is always with me," she admitted, her voice trembling. Mia took her hand, squeezing it gently. "You're not alone in this. We'll figure out together. You deserve to feel safe." The following day, Sarah visited the police station to report the unsettling feeling of being watched. Officer Martinez, who had been involved in the case, listened attentively. "We take these concerns seriously, Sarah. We'll increase patrols around her area and keep an eye out for anything suspicious," he assured her. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah found herself hyper-aware of her surroundings. Every rustle outside her window, every shadow in her periphery sent her heart racing. The letters from Jake continued to arrive sporadically, each one more desperate than the last. "I'm still here," one read. "You can't escape me." Determined not to let fear control her life, Sarah decided to confront the situation head-on. She reached out to Alex, Jake's brother, hoping to gain insight into Jake's state of mind. They met at a local park, the air filled with tension. "Alex, I need to understand more about Jake's mental health," Sarah said, her voice steady. "What can you tell me? Is he capable of this?" Alex sighed, his expression a mix of sorrow and frustration. "Jake's been struggling for years. He's consumed by his jealousy and paranoia. But I don't think he would physically harm you. He's in a dark place, but he's not a monster." "Not a monster?" Sarah echoed, incredulous. "What he did to Mark was monstrous. How can you defend him?" Alex met her gaze, his eyes pleading. "I'm not defending him. I'm just trying to explain that his mind has been twisted by his demons. I want to help you, but you need to be careful. He's unpredictable." Sarah felt a wave of conflicting emotions. Could she truly believe that Jake was merely a victim of his own mind? Was there a chance for understanding amidst the horror? As she left the park, uncertainty gnawed at her. She couldn't deny the love they once shared, but the reality of what had happened was undeniable. The letters continued to haunt her, and she needed to take decisive action. That evening, Sarah reached out to the authorities once more, urging them to increase surveillance around her apartment. She also sought a restraining order against Jake, knowing that she had to protect herself. Days later, as she sat in a coffee shop with Mia, Sarah's phone buzzed with a new message. It was another letter from Jake, this time more frantic and erratic. "You don't understand. I'm coming for you. You can't escape your love for me." Fear surged within her, but this time it was mixed with resolve. "I can't live like this anymore," she said, determination in her voice. "I need to confront him." Mia looked at her, concern etched on her face. "Are you sure that's wise? What if he's dangerous?" "I can't let him control my life," Sarah replied. "I need to face this head-on for myself and for Mark." With Mia's support, Sarah devised a plan to visit the prison where Jake was being held. She wanted answers, and she needed to confront him directly. The thought terrified her, but the desire for closure outweighed the fear. On the day of the visit, Sarah felt a whirlwind of emotions. As she entered the sterile visiting room, her heart raced. Jake sat across from her, a shadow of the man she had once loved. His eyes lit up with a mixture of longing and madness. "Sarah," he said, his voice trembling, "I knew you'd come." "Why are you doing this, Jake?" she demanded, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "You've taken everything from me. Why can't you let go?" He leaned forward, desperation etched on his face. "You don't understand. I did it for us. I thought I was protecting our love." Tears brimmed in her eyes. "This isn't love. This is obsession. You need help, but I can't be a part of it anymore. You have to let me go." Jake's expression shifted, a haunting mix of confusion and fury. "You can't just abandon me, Sarah. I'm always going to love you." The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of their shared past. But Sarah knew this was her moment of clarity. Love doesn't control or manipulate. It sets you free. "I'm reclaiming my life, and you need to accept that." As she stood to leave, she felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. She had faced her fears, confronted the man who had haunted her, and found her voice. As she walked away from the prison, Sarah felt lighter. The shadow of Jake's obsession still loomed, but she had taken the first step toward reclaiming her life. The journey ahead would be difficult, but she was ready to face whatever came next. Stay tuned for part 5, where Sarah's journey of healing and self-discovery